Hi, and welcome to my podcast, Jack to the Future. From science and inventions to pollution and recycling, I talk about what's changing in the world, the future, and how we can help with that. Every month I'll talk about a different future theme. For example, the future of science, tech, sustainability, reading, music, and all sorts of other ones. The future of everything. This is the first episode of my podcast. We talk about predictions for the future and I share with you some of my ideas. I also talk about a magazine called Scoop. First, a little bit about myself. I'm Jack and I'm 7. Me and my dad love the film Back to the Future, which is where the podcast name came from, and it's very handy because my name, Jack, rhymes with bat. I like doing maths, inventing stuff, science, chain reacting and STEM activities. My favourite animal is a tarantula. My favourite colour is orange because it matches my hair and I like eating chicken Kiev. I watched a video of children from 1966 on BBC website predicting what they thought the year 2000 was going to be like. They predicted that there was going to be atomic bombs dropping from the sky, be alien robots taking over our planet. It's going to be very boring. But actually, it turns out none of that happened at all. I asked my friends what they thought the future would be like, and this is what they said.
I think that cars will be able to fly and the pavements will be conveyor belts, and I really hope that there will be no more wars.
Awesome ideas, Elizabeth. My favourite idea was conveyor belts because we wouldn't have to walk anymore. We could just sit there, maybe playing a game of chess on the table. Just imagine.
I think the future will be very modern and we'll have flying jetpacks and hoverboards. Also think we might have automatic flipping book where you'd never have to flip a page to write down. You just read it and it'll flip every time you read a page. And we're going to eat always really nice food. We might have some infinite supply of food and we can always get what we want. And we never will have to worry about our diet.
Cool ideas, Jackson. My favourite one was the infinite amount of food one, because then we would never have to waste our money and buy the food ourselves, so we would never be hungry ever again. While on that subject, this piece of music is called Jetpacks and Flying Cars by Musivational.
I think the future will be like all happy because there wouldn't be any coronavirus anymore and we can meet up with people again.
Those are really good ideas, Annabella, and I wish we could meet up again and see each other.
In the future, we'll probably be living in Mars and we'll be doing shopping in virtual reality and doing holidays in virtual reality. And cars will be flying and we probably won't have to drive them at all, just do it by themselves. Also, schools will be very, very different and we probably might have a different dimension. Skateboards will probably turn into hoverboards and they'll hover higher. We would probably get around by having special shoes which will hover in the air. I think we might eat different things, like maybe some things that fill you up a bit more and maybe a bit bigger.
Those are some cool ideas. There will be no pollution and the planet will stay safe.
I think it will be like humans are going to change global warming and start planting trees when they've chopped them down. Like I went to the beach today and I saw lots of trees chopped down, but there were new trees planted in their places. And I think it will be very clever in the future. So like maybe there'll be flying cars and things like that.
It is really important that we don't cut down trees and do deforestation so the animals can live and survive. Listeners, I think the future will be like, we will basically not have to do anything ourselves, the house will take over and there'll be lots of robots in every room, so we don't need to take our shoes off, to clean our bedrooms and all sorts of other stuff like that. And there'll be electric factories, or maybe even not any factories at all, and we just asked on a machine for the food we wanted, and in the end we got it. You may have noticed that our predictions of the future have mostly been about technology, science and inventions. What are your predictions for the future? What else do you think we need to think about? Contact me in the comment section if you have any ideas. My mum got me a copy of Scoop magazine. Scoop magazine inspires and nurtures a love of reading and writing for children 7 and up. Each issue is packed full of stories, articles, games and activities, all based on unique themes. The link to that website is in the description of this podcast. We got the issue about the future, of course. I read an article. It's by Jenny Jacoby and it's called Future Timeline. It's all about some ideas for how our lives will change in the future, and there is 15 ideas in total. So the first one is 30 years from now, 3D printed food might be there. So we can already 3D print lots of things, but imagine 3D printing food that contains seeds and edible soil that in a few days could grow into a nutritious, waste-free, balanced meal. I think this is a good idea because then we don't have to get packets of food and buy it, because it might be plastic wrappers, which isn't good for the environment. You can't recycle that much. Instead, all you have to do is type the food in and it would come out. The other thing that I really like the idea of is if 45 years from now, there'll be nanobot medicine, so when you're ill, you'll be able to swallow a pill containing microscopic robots the size of your red blood cells that are programmed to deliver the medicine only to the place in your body that needs it. In the magazine, there's an activity to look out your window and think about and draw what it would look like in the future. I like the idea of pressing a button on the side of a house. It would shrink so the trees would get more sunlight and rain to grow, and also they would fly so that they didn't have to be on the ground and destroy nature. They also could have solar panels on the roof, and there could be flying cars in a flying driveway, and the car would actually go back in time as well, like Back to the Future. Another activity the magazine asked you to do was to put down one of your hobbies. I chose Lego building, and I thought about how I could adapt it to make it be better and easier. Instead, if you had struggled breaking 2 blocks apart and you're finding it really tricky, all you had to do was just tap on the block and they would separate for you. Instead of building a model, when you put it on a certain mat and you controlled it and programmed it to build itself, although it's not as much fun building it, but it's still really cool when you play with it after. What a fab episode! Hope you enjoyed it. Ding ding! However, we also need to think about things like how can science and technology help with things like how we can solve the problem of pollution, the ice caps melting, or deforestation, other sorts of things like that, so that we can save those problems and they won't need to be talked about or need to be fixed in the future. Join me next time for another exciting episode of Jack to the Future.